Hello, and welcome to the Weird Around Illinois podcast. Today we are going to talk about some Native American cryptids and the stories that go with them. Specifically, we want to talk about skinwalkers, the Wendigo, Googly, and the Rougarou or Loup-garou. Let's get weird.
Yeah, so we'll start off with the Skinwalker. So, the Skinwalker, for a brief description, is a witch that can turn into just about any animal that we know of. You know, coyotes, bears, wolves, you name it. And this originated mainly in the southwest area of America. Tribes like Navajo, Hopi, Utes, and other tribes were kind of involved in that thing, and they kind of gave us the idea of what a skinwalker really is.
A lot of members of those tribes still believe in skinwalkers to this day, to the point that they won't even speak about skinwalkers because they're afraid saying the word will attract one. You hear a lot about skinwalkers now because of the popular TV show Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, and you know, skinwalkers, I forgot to say this, but skinwalkers are very aggressive. Today we see a lot of either fake videos or maybe real ones. We can't decide that yet, but I've seen a lot of videos where they make out human language. Basically, they could say like help, help, or like have these noises to kind of lure you in, and then they will probably attack you in some way.
And I've heard that they can actually imitate individual voices.
Right.
You know, they can sound like your grandfather or sound like a baby crying or something like that, or whatever they think it'll take to get you to open the door or come and investigate or whatever. It's really creepy stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it might be hard to listen for a skinwalker too, because I've heard like videos where people have said this might be a skinwalker,
Right.
And then you hear it and it's like screeching noises. It's like, could this be a skinwalker? I don't know.
Yeah, the problem with skinwalker identification now is because, you know, they shapeshift. There's no specific voice. You know, dog man. There's some kind of howl in some way.
Probably the most common shape that a skinwalker is said to take is that of a wolf. Although I hear of them changing into coyotes or bears or even other humans sometimes.
Yeah, and you know, with that power, you have to keep in mind that the skinwalker has all of the abilities of these animals. So whatever power a bear can have, the skinwalker can have as well. So it could be very dangerous.
And if I understand the legend correctly, or at least one of the legends, each tribe has their own legends for skinwalkers, I think, but one of the legends is that the only way for a medicine man or a witch to become a skinwalker is to commit an act of ultimate evil. Something that, you know, I'm not even going to name any of the acts that they're said to do, but they have to do something horrible in order to get that dark magic to allow them to become a skinwalker. So that's probably one of the most famous Native American cryptids.
Yeah,
but
it's been all over social media. Now, of course, not recently, but throughout the years.
Right. But there's another one that seems to be gaining in popularity, and that's the Wendigo.
Yeah, it's basically like a very large creature. It's supposed to look very monstrous, but also be standing on like two legs, like a human.
I know that it's usually in the Midwest, right? Like upper Minnesota or Canada, lower Canada, areas like that.
Yeah, like some of the tribes that are like known in relation to these is like Eastern Cree, Ojibwa, West Main Swampy Cree, Naskapi, and Innu people.
Again, the kind of North Midwestern, lower Canadian tribes, and I know the Wendigo. I've heard a lot of different descriptions on it. I read one once that said they were as tall as 15 feet.
But that's like twice the size of any cryptid we talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then other people have said that they're just like, they look like skeletons, or some people say they look like dog man with antlers.
You know, yeah, from like the first image I've ever seen of the Wendigo, it had a skull kind of face with antlers.
There seems to be some crossover between Dogman and Wendigo sightings. I don't know if people mistake a Dogman for a Wendigo or a Wendigo for a Dogman. Specifically, I remember watching that Tubi movie about Dogman, where the YouTuber went looking for Dogman, and they found all kinds of evidence, but they didn't find Dogman. And then at the end of it, the witness who he had been talking to about Dogman sends him a picture of a Wendigo outside his window.
Oh my.
it was like a weird twist at the end of that movie.
I know one or two like Native American like legends have mentioned like these Wendigos having like no lips basically. I can picture that being very weird.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to be very dangerous. They like eat people basically.
Ooh. When I saw another one of those great Tubi films about Wendigos, the first thing that came to my mind was zombies, because they were like these really thin, emaciated looking skeletal creatures that were running around trying to eat people.
I could see that.
And there was one case of a Native American man who claimed to be a Wendigo after he had like killed, I think, some family members and eaten them. And he claimed that he was possessed by the spirit of a Wendigo and it made him do it.
I've heard that there's apparently like a condition, I don't remember the name of it, but there's like a condition where people actually are convinced that they should eat people. And they named it after the Wendigo basically. I don't remember the actual name though.
Huh. Alright, well that's another one we don't want to run into. Ones that we're going to talk about next are probably not as well known. Certainly they're well known in Louisiana, the first two. The Loup-garou or the Rougarou, which are basically the same creature. The best description I could give of them is they're a werewolf. So obviously these could be overlapping Dogman sightings as well. These are usually associated with French-Canadian settlers, so you might think it's kind of a stretch to attach these to Native American legends, but in fact, their roots are Native American, even though the word is not. It started with a tribe, a very, very warlike Native American tribe called the Atakapa. And they wiped out these two other tribes. I believe they were the Chitimacha and the Coushatta. And these were all in the Louisiana area. And when these other two tribes were down to their last surviving people, they sought out a shaman, who, like a magic user, who turned the survivors into skinwalkers, like shape-changing werewolf-type flesh eaters, almost like a combination of a skinwalker and a Wendigo, and unleashed them on this tribe that had nearly wiped them out. And they turned the tide of the battle and basically took over and wiped out this warring tribe. Later, the French Canadians were trying to come up with a word for this, so they brought over the word from France, which was Loup-garou or Rougarou, and they applied it to this Native American creature. And they still believe in it to this day, and now they've got this weird thing where they like rolled it in with Catholic religion, so that they're saying that the only way to become a Rougarou is to break the rules of Lent, or some religion or some beliefs say that the Rougarou actually hunts people who don't observe the traditions of Lent in the Catholic Church. That's where those things come from. And I know we watched a really good episode of These Woods Are Haunted, where the man runs into the woman who turns out to be a Rougarou. He's like asking her out in a record store or something, and she goes to meet him later and like turns into a werewolf and tries to kill him. Well, the last cryptid is a Googly, and I had honestly never heard of this until somebody mentioned it in the comments section of one of our Dogman videos. And the Googly is basically a Bigfoot with a canine snout. So a lot of people feel like, the Googly is Dogman. It's a Bigfoot that looks like a wolf, so they think it might be the same thing. It does have the sagittal crest, like the weird dome-shaped head like you see on Bigfoot and on gorillas and things like that.
That would look so goofy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, first thoughts about like visualizing that doesn't make any sense.
Well, there are pictures on the internet, but a lot of people are saying those pictures are just pictures of gorillas with like a dog snout or a chimpanzee snout kind of photoshopped onto them. But I don't know. But people are claiming they're real pictures. But
Well, that would solve the Dogman and Bigfoot problem either way.
yeah, yeah. The Googly is probably best known by the Micmac tribe, and I'll be honest with you, it's kind of a thin. It's a very thin legend. If you go back far enough, you can find a mention of a Googly here and there, and sometimes it means what I described, sometimes it means this woman who steals children in the middle of the night, sometimes it refers to a sea creature. The Googly really kind of took off as a cryptid when the internet started. So in that way, it's kind of like the Rake or Slender Man or things like that, but at least this one has a little bit of a link to some historical mentions. And we would love to hear your thoughts on any of these cryptids or any other cryptids. So please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, or if you've seen a cryptid, by all means fill out our anonymous sighting form so that we can go looking for it as well. And as always, thank you so much for subscribing and liking our content and sharing our content with your friends. Thanks.